Hello! Today, we are starting our short story about the most outstanding heavy music vocalist, at least in our humble opinion. A musician, a poet, a songwriter, a composer who played bass guitar and keyboards. But, above all, a vocalist who appears on every greatest of all time list. We're talking about Ronnie James Dio. For music lovers and those with some experience in rock history, this name is far from unfamiliar. Some have only heard of him, while others might not know him at all. Either way, even those familiar with his work and life will surely discover something new, useful, informative, and enjoyable in our videos. So, Ronnie James Dio was not born as Dio. His real surname was Padavona. His parents, Pat and Anna Padavona, were descendants of Italian immigrants. It just so happens that Italians in America are one of our favorite topics. As in many Italian families, music was an inseparable part of life in the Padavona household. Family gatherings meant lively feasts, songs, and live music. It was in this atmosphere that young Ronald Padavona grew up. He became Ronnie later, but we'll get to that. His father was strict with him. Italian parents are always meticulous about their children. He was willing to give everything to ensure his child had a better life than he did. From an early age, Ronnie was passionate about sports and, like many teenagers, dreamed of becoming a professional athlete, in his case, a baseball player. But unfortunately, his physical build didn't favor that aspiration. Dio probably struggled with his height all his life. Various sources list him as either 1.63 meters or 1.64 meters, 5 feet 4 inches or 5 feet 5 inches. We'll return to this topic later. A skinny, slender guy wasn't the best candidate for sports. Nevertheless, at the age of 5, he demanded that his father buy him a baseball bat. His father looked at him, considered whether he would break the ball or himself first, and decided on a clever move. Instead of a bat, he bought Ronnie a trumpet and said, "Try becoming a musician instead." Interestingly, playing the trumpet played a significant role in Dio's vocal development. Musicians know that this instrument strengthens not only the lungs, but also the diaphragm. Many trumpet players who later became singers have powerful voices. Ronnie James was later compared to an opera tenor. He truly had the ability to sing anything, and his voice amazed with its power and emotional depth. He was especially renowned for his ballads. But let's go back to his childhood. While he was learning the trumpet, the world was swept up in rock and roll fever. Before that, he had listened to a lot of opera. His parents had an excellent record collection. His favorite singer was Mario Lanza. Incidentally, Soviet singer Muslim Magomayev also adored Lanza. However, rock and roll soon pushed opera to the sidelines. Soon, Ronnie had the idea of forming his own band. Fortunately, he found like-minded enthusiasts at school. This led to his first band, the Vegas Kings. It was a local high school band. Later, after several lineup and name changes, the band became Ronnie and the Redcaps, and then Ronnie Dio and the Prophets. They even released a few singles and albums. Of course, this was not yet the Dio who became famous in hard rock. But even back then, some of their songs showed his immense potential. Classmates and acquaintances remembered him as an incredibly determined person. Skipping rehearsals? Out of the question. Strict discipline followed him in every band he played in. Unfortunately, in 1968, a serious car accident occurred. Ronnie James Dio and his band were on tour when they were involved in a head-on collision. Ronnie smashed his face against the windshield, requiring 150 stitches of varying complexity. Tragically, one of his bandmates, his longtime friend and guitarist, died. This led to the band's breakup. His next band was called the Electric Elves, then simply the Elves, and later, Elf. There are several theories about the origin of the name. Some say Dio was called an elf because of his short stature and love for fantasy. He adored historical novels, especially those by Walter Scott. Others claim the name was linked to Elvis Presley, but knowing Dio's later work, it was most likely inspired by his fascination with magic, mysticism, and mythical themes. Elf began moving toward hard rock. This happened in 1972 when Dio became captivated by Deep Purple. He said, "Our main goal is to play hard rock, to play powerfully, but still maintain melody." Fate played a kind trick on him. His band was noticed by Deep Purple members themselves, bassist Roger Glover and drummer Ian Pace. Glover even produced Elf's debut album, released in 1972. Their second album followed in 1974, and their third, Trying to Burn the Sun, came out in 1975. This was the band's most mature album. We recommend checking out Elf. We've already made videos about Ronnie James Dio before. If you're used to classic Dio's sound, Elf might surprise you. It's early, somewhat raw, but very powerful hard rock with fantastic vocal moments. An interesting fact: Dio wasn't just concerned about his height, but also about his age. Over the years, different sources listed various birth dates: 1938, 1940, 1942, and even 1945. However, archival records confirm he was born in 1942. His debut album with Elf was released when he was 30 years old. We will continue our story about Ronnie James Dio in the second part of our narrative. Thank you for watching.